Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're plunging into the life and career of someone, well, instantly familiar, thanks to a role that's just become part of global culture.
Uh-huh.
But as the comprehensive biographical source we've looked at really shows, there's so much more to her story than, let's say, the lasso and the cuffs.
That's absolutely right. We've taken a detailed look into the life of Lynda Carter. And our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack that multifaceted journey.
Yeah.
To see the whole picture, the source presents the diverse talents, the unexpected turns, the resilience, and the lasting impact,
Yeah.
which really reaches far beyond just one iconic character.
And what's genuinely surprising right from the start when you explore this source material is just how much hustle and life experience existed before she put on that famous red, white, and blue costume.
Mm-hmm.
You might think you know the story, but the source highlights a path filled with some pretty fascinating detours, like think an early, serious music career.
Right.
The precarious financial tightrope she walked right before landing that role, and just the incredible range of her work long after.
Absolutely. The source really paints a picture of a performer who started incredibly young, honed her skills, not initially in acting, but in, well, the demanding world of music.
And we're not talking garage bands here, are we? The source details her public television debut at, age 5 on Lou King's talent show.
Wow, age 5.
Then in high school, she was part of a band called Just Us that featured instruments you maybe wouldn't expect, like a marimba and a conga drum.
Huh.
That kind of tells you something about her willingness to be a bit different right from the start, maybe.
It certainly does. And this wasn't just a hobby. By 15, the source notes she was singing professionally in a local pizza parlor, actually earning money.
Okay.
Then at 16, she joined a band called The Relatives, which, get this, had Gary Berghoff, later famous as Radar O'Reilly from MAHH, as the drummer.
No way.
Yeah. And this band wasn't playing small local gigs. The source says they opened at the Sahara Hotel and Casino Lounge in Las Vegas for 3 months.
Wow.
Imagine being underage and having to enter through the kitchen just to get to the stage every night.
That grit and determination at such a young age is really striking.
Yeah.
And the source shows this wasn't just a brief phase either. This music career continued into the early 70s with a band called the Gurfin Gathering.
Right, I saw that.
They toured the Nevada Silver Circuit, which meant playing casino lounges in places like Lake Tahoe, Carson City, Reno, and Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
The source even includes this detail about their very first show being at a San Francisco Holiday Inn that was so new the sidewalk entrance wasn't even finished yet. That really puts you there, doesn't it?
It does. It shows the grind, The reality of being a working musician on the road. She was truly immersed in that scene for years.
Yes.
But the source tells us that in 1972, she reached a kind of turning point.
Mm-hmm.
She made the big decision to leave the Garfin Gathering and return to Arizona, setting her sights on pursuing acting.
Okay, so she shifted gears entirely. And what happens next, according to the source, is another fascinating detour before the acting career fully took hold.
Uh-huh.
Before landing major roles, she entered and actually won a local Arizona beauty contest,
Ah, okay.
which then propelled her onto the national stage. She won Miss World USA in 1972, representing Arizona, and even placed in the top 15 at the International Miss World pageant that same year.
It's a path we've seen others take, I suppose, using pageants as a way to gain visibility and maybe open some doors.
Right.
And the source notes that following this, she moved to New York in the early 70s and took acting classes. It's interesting that one of her acting partners during that period, according to the source, was future CBS president Leb Moonves.
Huh, small world.
Isn't it? She then started getting small TV roles, a guest spot in the police drama Nakia in '74, appearances on shows like Starsky and Hutch, the variety show Coase, and some B-movies too.
So she was back to the grind, really, navigating the typical challenges of a struggling actor in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And the source is very clear about just how close she came to walking away from it all during this period.
This is where the story, as told by the source, gets incredibly tense. It states that the savings she had carefully set aside from her music touring days.
Yeah, to support the move.
Exactly. Specifically to support her move to L.A. and give acting a real shot, were almost completely depleted.
Oh, wow.
The source says she was down to a mere $25 in her bank account.
$25?
Yeah, and was genuinely close to giving up and moving back to Arizona.
$25? That really puts it into sharp perspective, doesn't it? It highlights the immense risk and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And the source makes it a pivotal moment. stating that it was on that very day, on the verge of giving up, that she received the news that would change everything.
What timing?
Her manager informed her that another actress, Joanna Cassidy, had lost the part, and she had officially landed the starring role in Wonder Woman in 1975.
It's that classic Hollywood story, isn't it? Persistence meeting opportunity at the absolute last minute.
Right.
And the source emphasizes that it was her portrayal, specifically described as earnest and embodying the character's spirit, that deeply resonated with both fans and critics. This connection was so strong that she has been, well, intrinsically linked with the character ever since.
It wasn't just her performance, though, was it? The source points out that the show's faithfulness to the comic book design, including the costume,
Yeah, the look.
and that incredibly catchy theme song, all contributed to her portrayal being cemented as, well, an iconic depiction. The show, of course, went on to run for 3 seasons, starting its life on ABC before moving over to CBS.
Now, while the role brought her incredible fame and opportunity, the source doesn't shy away from detailing the significant complexities that came with that level of intense public visibility,
Yep.
especially as a female superhero viewed by millions globally.
Yes, this is a really crucial point the source explores. It includes a direct quote from her after the show had ended, speaking to Us Magazine. She said, I never meant to be a sexual object for anyone but my husband. I never thought a picture of my body would be tacked up in men's bathrooms. I hate men looking at me and thinking what they think, and I know what they think. They write and tell me.
Wow. That quote, pulled directly from the source, offers a powerful and undeniably uncomfortable window into the dissonance between the character's ideals of strength and empowerment and how the actress herself was sometimes perceived and, well, consumed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It raises important questions about the objectification that can accompany fame, particularly for women in the public eye,
Yeah.
and how it felt from her perspective. The source even references a journal article that argues the show, despite its positive intentions in adapting Wonder Woman's ideals, was ultimately kind of suppressed, undone, and discredited by American culture
Interesting.
as part of a broader historical resistance against the character's feminist undertones.
It presents this fascinating tension, doesn't it? The character designed to be empowering, yet the person embodying her grappling with objectification.
Exactly.
And the source provides further insight into her perspective, quoting her again from 2017, where she reflected on her approach back in 1975. She explained that she deliberately played the character in a way she felt women wouldn't be jealous of, stating her intention was for women to want to be me or be my best friend.
That really highlights her conscious effort to shape the portrayal and its reception, focusing on inspiration and camaraderie rather than, solely physical appeal. And the source reinforces her enduring connection to the role, quoting her thoughtful perspective. Many actresses or actors, they want to divorce themselves from a role. Because we are actors, we really aren't the people that we play. But I knew very early on that this character is much more than me, certainly. And to try to divorce myself from the experiences that other people have of the character is silly.
That's a remarkably grounded and insightful way to view the challenge of being forever linked to a role that, well, takes on a life of its own.
It really is.
And the source confirms this ongoing connection wasn't just internal. DC Comics named her in 50 Who Made DC Great back in 85.
Right.
And statues and busts of her as Wonder Woman were released years later. She even made that cameo appearance as Asteria in the 2020 film Wonder Woman 1984.
Although the source notes a scheduling conflict with singing engagements prevented her from doing a cameo in the 2017 film.
Right, the first one.
And speaking of singing engagements, the source makes it abundantly clear that her passion and career in music didn't just end with the Garfin Gathering or touring the Silver Circuit.
No, not at all.
Even while starring in Wonder Woman, she continued to pursue music. The source details her recording the album Portrait in the late 70s, Coe's writing songs for variety shows, making musical guest appearances. She even incorporated her music into the show itself, singing 2 of her own songs in a Wonder Woman episode called Amazon Hot Wax.
So she was really juggling the demands of a hit TV show with her music career.
Absolutely.
The source also points out the level of fame she achieved during this period through other avenues, like she was voted the most beautiful woman in the world by the International Academy of Beauty and the British Press Organization in '78,
Okay.
and signed that big modeling contract with Maybelline in 1977. And here's a little-known fact the source includes. She was also the first woman to provide a voiceover for a movie trailer.
Really? Which film?
For The Drowning Pool back in 1975.
Huh. Interesting. And the source also delves into that famous poster story, which is another facet of her image during that time.
Ah, yes, the poster.
It was released through ProArts at her then-husband's suggestion and apparently went on to sell over 1 million copies.
Wow.
Yet the source highlights her clear discomfort with it. It quotes her from a 1981 interview calling it a dumb photograph
Right.
and adding context to its creation. My husband said, "Oh, try this thing tied up here. It'll look beautiful." And the photographer said the backlighting is really terrific.
Mm.
So dealing with someone having that picture up in their bedroom or their living room or whatever, I think would be hard for anyone to deal with.
That really underscores her earlier comments about objectification, doesn't it? It
Mhm.
adds a specific, tangible example of something she was clearly uneasy with despite its popularity.
Definitely.
So after Wonder Woman concluded in 1979, the source shows her career pivoted again, but maintained that thread of variety that seems characteristic of her journey.
Yeah, she didn't stop. She starred in musical TV specials, like Lynda Carter's special, played iconic figures like Rita Hayworth in a biographical film,
Oh, interesting.
and co-starred in the crime drama Partners in Crime with Lonnie Anderson.
I remember that one. And the source chronicles a steady stream of television movies she starred in throughout the 90s, commercials for Lens Express,
Right, Lens Express.
and her entrepreneurial venture launching her own production company, Potomac Productions. She also continued her voice work, narrating a Sandra Brown audiobook in '93.
Her work in the 21st century, as detailed in the source, really emphasizes her versatility and willingness to take on different kinds of projects.
Totally.
She was cast in independent films like Super Troopers
Yeah.
and its sequel as Governor Jessamine,
Yeah, Governor Jessamine, right.
and deliberately took on a very different kind of role in The Creature of the Sunny Side Up trailer park, playing a washed-up beauty queen.
A conscious choice, it seems.
Seems like it. She also appeared in larger studio films like The Dukes of Hazzard and Disney's Sky High. And in Sky High, as the source notes, she got to deliver that fun, self-referential line that played on her most famous role, saying, "I can't do anything more to help you. I'm not Wonder Woman, you know."
Huh. That's great.
And her voiceover work saw a significant expansion, particularly into video games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the source highlights her extensive work performing voices for multiple games in the Elder Scrolls series,
Ah, okay.
and her role as a singer in Fallout 4, for which she also wrote and recorded 5 original songs.
Wow, wrote them too.
Yep, and the source includes the detail that her husband, Robert A. Altman, was the chairman and CEO of the game's parent company, ZeniMax Media. So a bit of a personal connection to this area of her career.
That connection adds another layer, doesn't it, to understanding her diverse pursuits.
It does.
The source also details her return to the stage in a pretty significant way, playing Mama Morton in the West End London production of Chicago in 2005.
Right. Mama Morton.
Following that, she began touring the U.S. with her one-woman musical cabaret show, An Evening with Lynda Carter, performing at prestigious venues like Jazz at Lincoln Center and the Kennedy Center, really fully embracing her musical roots and talent again.
And she continued releasing music, putting out albums like At Last, which impressively hit Billboard's Jazz Albums chart,
Nice.
Crazy Little
That's
Things,
true.
and Red Rockin' Blues. This source even notes that her daughter, Jessica Altman, who has her own music career, was featured on that last album.
Oh, lovely. Showing music continues to be a family affair.
Seems so.
Beyond her creative work, the source also touches upon her advocacy. Stemming from personal experience, she became an advocate for irritable bowel syndrome awareness after her mother suffered from it. The source details her support for Susan G. Komen for breast cancer awareness, her stance on abortion rights, and her consistent support for legal equality for LGBT people, including serving as Grand Marshal for various pride parades.
It's important to note, the source also covers aspects of her personal life that, shaped her journey. It mentions her 2 marriages, describing her first marriage to Ron Samuels as a period of unhappiness for her.
Okay.
Her second marriage was to attorney Robert A. Altman in 1984, with whom she had 2 children. The source notes their move to Washington, D.C., Altman's highly publicized trial and acquittal in 1993,
Right, I remember that being in the news.
and sadly, his passing in 2021.
The source also factually reports on her public political endorsements for Democratic candidates over the years. It shows how, as a public figure, aspects of your personal beliefs and life inevitably intersect with your public image.
Yeah, that's true.
And the source doesn't shy away from discussing challenging personal struggles either. It mentions her revelation in a 2008 interview with People magazine that she had entered rehab for alcoholism
Oh, and
had been sober for nearly 10 years at that time. The source quotes her from that interview, stating that the best measure of a human being is how we treat the people who love us and the people that we love.
That detail from the source adds a real layer of vulnerability and resilience to her public narrative, I think.
I agree.
And her offensive career achievements haven't gone unrecognized, as the source lists numerous honors she's received. These include a Golden Palm Star, a Gracie Lifetime Achievement Award,
Mm-hmm.
a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the Sor Juana Legacy Award, which recognizes women of Mexican descent for their contributions to the arts, and induction into the California Hall of Fame. Quite a list.
Definitely a significant list of achievements. And one final notable point from the source is her involvement in the United Nations designating Wonder Woman as an honorary ambassador for the empowerment of women and girls in 2016.
Ah, right.
Right.
Alongside Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins.
Exactly. This was intended to raise awareness for gender equality. However, the source notes this decision sparked significant controversy and protests from some UN staff who called the character not culturally encompassing or sensitive and objectifying,
Oof.
which ultimately led to the designation being withdrawn.
It really highlights that even decades after her initial portrayal, the character she embodied can still stir passionate debate and represent very different things to different people,
Yeah.
underscoring the complex legacy of the role itself.
Absolutely. This deep dive into the source material truly reveals that while Lynda Carter is, and likely always will be, most famously linked to Wonder Woman,
Inevitably, yeah.
her life and career encompass so much more. From those early determined days in music and the surprising turn into the pageant world, through the unexpected timing of landing that role, to her prolific and varied work in film, television, voice acting, her powerful return to the stage in music, her personal life and struggles, her advocacy, and the many honors she's received. It's really a journey defined by incredible range, resilience, and a consistent pursuit of her diverse talents.
It definitely highlights how an individual can navigate the intense spotlight of an iconic, defining role, yet continue to explore and express many different facets of themselves over a long career. Her story, as presented through this source, offers a rich reflection on managing immense public image while staying true to multiple passions and using one's platform for causes they believe in.
Right. And it leaves you contemplating that fundamental challenge she faced. Considering the source, quote, her expressing discomfort with being viewed as a sexual object, and her own perspective that the Wonder Woman character is much more than me, certainly.
Yeah.
What does the source material, looking at her full career and her handling of that fame, ultimately suggest about the challenge of separating a person from a powerful and sometimes objectified public persona? And, how does that tension shape a life lived so much in the spotlight? Something to think about.